So let's turn to today's focus now for you here on the programme. And up until last weekend, almost 77,000 migrants had already arrived on Greek shores this year alone. There's been severe pressure on Greece to do more to curtail the influx, and the country risks being kicked out of Europe's free movement Shengen zone. However, 4 new hotspot centres are now set to open as the country struggles to cope with a relentless flow of migrants. France 24's Natalie Savarakis has travelled to the island of Leros to see how the works there are progressing.
Temporary homes for refugees in transit. After being unloaded in Leros, these containers will soon become lodgings for asylum seekers who've survived the dangerous boat trip from neighbouring Turkey. Greeks are working round the clock to complete these so-called hotspots on 5 different islands before an EU deadline, or risk being excluded from the Schengen free movement area. The army has been deployed to speed things up.
The procedure has been accelerated, and we're working feverishly. The project will be completed within the deadline set. It fits 1,000 people and is divided in 2 parts: the first reception center and the accommodation part. Here on the left and right is the accommodation.
Besides housing, these hotspots are designed to beef up security.
We needed to do the hotspots so that these people can be rapidly identified, subject to our EU commitments, and to host them the best way possible in an organized space. Security, of course, will be enhanced, and everyone will be identified with documents.
Fingerprints, interviews, registration and asylum claims will now all be processed under one roof by officials from the EU, Greece and NGOs working together.
Migrants will no longer be able to escape screening. They'll be directed to this place and registered under a very specific process. Enhanced security will identify everyone and give them documents.
Debt-stricken Greece is the main entry point for refugees hoping to get to Europe.
Stop, sit down. Okay.
In 2015 alone, it saw the arrival of over 850,000 refugees and migrants. Leros alone would see up to 2,000 arrivals a day. That's a quarter of its entire population. Faced with these overwhelming numbers, the tiny island's local authorities were struggling until the EU sent reinforcements. But that was only 2 months ago.
Our ships are worn out. We're constantly asking for more, and the ministry is doing all it can to give us what's available. Because it's not only Leros, it's Kos, Samos, Mytilene, Chios. There's a massive coastline, and you need to intervene on this coastline 24 hours a day. So there's a great need for support.
Yet the help is still not enough, and volunteer groups like this one are filling the void.
Even with Greece's limited resources, I think even when refugees were staying outdoors, everything that was done through the help of the solidarity of our society. But we can't cope with this weight when entire countries are moving and being trapped in Greece.
Until they're moved into the hotspots, most of the asylum seekers are screened in tents. We weren't allowed to film the premises. Amar Adham arrived here a few days ago. He's racing against time to get his refugee documents in order. Amar hopes he and his 9-month pregnant wife can travel to Germany before the birth of their child.
I hope Europe is ready to welcome us, everyone from here or anyone from world. I hope so.
But the journey onward remains long, and the fences ahead are rising every day. Like Amar, half of all arrivals are families from Syria carrying their belongings on their back, hoping to build a future in Europe.